How does Jack Daniel's harness the magic of a sugar maple? Which famous crooner got his own posthumous type of whiskey? And what's the absolute best thing that Jack Daniel's makes? Stay tuned. While Jack Daniel's No. 27 Gold has positive reviews, it's almost impossible to find. And that's one of the main reasons this whiskey has found itself on the bottom shelf, figuratively speaking. The other reason is that it's pretty pricey, starting at around $100, according to Wine Searcher. This whiskey is distilled somewhat like its cousin No. 7 Black Label, which the official website says is mellowed drop by drop through 10 feet of sugar maple charcoal. To get its rich, vibrant hue, Jack Daniel's No. 27 Gold is filtered twice. The whiskey is also matured twice, with the second aging period happening in maple barrels, instead of the usual charred oak. This results in the high-quality liquid gold Tennessee whiskey. But as mentioned, you're not going to find this at your local liquor store or grocery chain. Jack Daniel's No. 27 Gold is only available at select duty-free retailers around the globe. What does duty-free mean? That you're usually only going to find this precious bottle in airports, seaports, or train stations. If you're looking to experience the depth, intense, rich flavor of Jack Daniel's Single Barrel line, you might want to try the 100 proof bottled in bond. Look no further than your local airport, because that's generally the only place you can find it, which is the main reason why this whiskey is bunking up in the bottom tier next to Jack Daniel's No. 27 Gold. It's around $100 and it's pretty much flammable, which makes you wonder why it's only available at airports. Some say it's overly sweet, which can make it go down easily or not at all.
Whiskey makers are very strict, very specific. People take their whiskey very, very seriously.
One reviewer said, "I couldn't be bothered drinking the rest. The kitchen sink took one for the team." While it still has the signature oaky banana and maple syrup aroma, one Vision Viral contributor pointed out that it has an almost buttery-like finish with a hint of Hostess cherry pie. Not quite sure about comparing whiskey to 50-cent gas station snacks. It might seem like a travesty having Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire, also known as Red Label, one step up from the incredibly rare and expensive No. 27 Gold, but spot sharing isn't an option here. Tennessee Fire is sitting comfortably in the depths of whiskey hell, right where it belongs. This whiskey is a blend of Jack Daniel's No. 7 and cinnamon liqueur. The good thing is that it's made with real cinnamon. That's where it stops. One distiller reviewer likened it to a spoonful of cinnamon-flavored syrup, adding, "One sip feels like it is giving you diabetes." Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire retails at around $20, so take that into consideration. Walmart has it priced slightly cheaper, so that's saying something. But can you really base a rating off of price alone? Remember that taste is also being taken into consideration. Can it really be that bad? Well, Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire is probably geared more toward making cocktails or being used with mixers, and is comparable to Fireball whiskey. So if you like Fireball, then you might want to try this cough syrup. If you really love cinnamon and whiskey, then perhaps this is totally your thing.
And last but certainly not least, my favorite, the Jack Daniel's Tennessee Fire.
Following its fiery sister is Jack Daniel's Tennessee Apple, though not nearly as bad. Since reviewers often note that it would work well in an apple martini, according to Influencer. If you've ever had an apple or caramel apple martini, you know that being a good candidate for this mixer can mean only one thing: it's sweet. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Apple has a bad reputation for smelling relatively good, but its saccharine taste sits much too long, according to Drink Hacker. As one reviewer on Distiller laments, it has a super sweet, cloying taste of sugar and apple candy. If you like whiskey, apple candy, and getting cavities, then you might want to try some of this juice. It retails for around 20 smackaroos, which is much less than the cost of getting a cavity filled. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Straight Rye is made with a 70% rye grain bill and uses water from Cave Spring Hollow, the distiller's own personal natural spring.
It makes a huge difference, and that's largely because they all have different whiskey-making traditions.
This is supposedly one of the first new recipes created by the distillery in over 150 years, which could be a good or a bad thing. Considering the spirit is still pretty low on the totem pole, it's not looking too great at this point. The Jack Daniel's website describes it as undeniably spicy and complex, yet sippin' smooth, while the whiskey shelf goes on the record stating that rye whiskeys usually have a lot of mint, anise, and tropical fruits, but they're all completely lacking here. It just smells and tastes like young, cheap, and watered-down whiskey. Perhaps that's why this whiskey's suggested retail price is under the $20 mark. Jack Daniel's Winter Cider, also known as the Winter Jack, could be your new BFF during the colder months. With a price point in the $20 zone, Winter Jack is based on an old Jack Daniel's family recipe, even though he was never married or had kids. This Christmassy feeling whiskey will leave you feeling warm and fuzzy inside. It's essentially just spiked apple cider liqueur that's been blended with old reliable Jack Daniel's No. 7. It's labeled as having wintry, holiday spices, which usually include cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, ginger, and clove. Intoxicology states that this is a booze you'll either love or hate, but that, more than anything, it's like an adult version of apple cider. So if Winter Jack has a pretty good rating when it comes to taste and price, what's it doing so low on the list? It's a seasonal release, so you can really only enjoy it for a few months during the year. Bummer. Jack Daniel's Green Label whiskey still undergoes the same sugar maple mellowing, but the barrels the liquid spends its maturing time in are located on the lower floors and toward the center of the barrel house. It's only available in a few states, and the constant search for this elusive spirit is what keeps it popular. It's what Difford's Guide refers to as, quote, value bottling, which basically means it's incredibly rare and that people will have to pay a lot more for it. Green Label hits this midpoint on this list for its rarity. You never know where it'll pop up next. Perhaps if people tasted it first, they'd understand that it's not that great. The distillery says it's a lighter color and character, which is confirmed by Whiskey Review. And while it still has the caramel and vanilla flavors, the telltale banana essence isn't as prominent, but the raw alcohol burn is prominent. Maybe whiskey sleuths are chasing after Green Label because it has a pleasant amber hue and a very faint green tinge. They're searching for something not everyone will see, just like searching for the green flash at sunset. Smack in the middle of this list is Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Rye. Now, this whiskey is pretty darn unique in that it's the distillery's first new mash recipe since 1866.
I wanted it to be something special. This particular product has a little bit more age on it.
Keep in mind that rye whiskey isn't for everyone. The website A Couple Cooks notes that ryes are grassy tasting, and depending on the brand can have smoke, oak, or fruit notes. They also have a spicier finish, as in hints of pepper. Jack Daniel's website states that its Single Barrel Rye is, quote, grain forward, which according to liquor.com is another way to say it could taste like oatmeal, cornbread, wheat flakes, or younger bourbons. Some Redditors found it rather pleasant and a nice sip, though lacking in the sweet department, while Whiskey Fellow was more offended by the overwhelming presence of corn and the waste of $55. Coy Hill is the highest elevated rolling hill on the Jack Daniel's property, and this high-proof whiskey is named in honor of it. Okay, so Jack Daniel's Single Barrel 2021 special release isn't actually honoring just any rolling hill. It's also paying respect to the actual location of the barrel house, where Jack Daniel's spirits hang out and mature. This means that the barrels are left to the mercy of the elements, which actually help to give it character. The 2021 special release Coy Hill High Proof is also matured in a specific section of the barrel house, which is pretty noteworthy. For around $70, you too can be the proud owner of a Single Barrel Special Release 2021 Coy Hill High Proof. And high proof it is. This bottle clocks in at around 148 proof, and according to the website, is bottled in its purest form straight from the barrel with minimal filtration. It's middle of the road because of its overwhelming heat. Plus, you're basically paying for a novelty bottle and a cool story, and possibly growing some hair on your chest. This is the old school Jack Daniel's. Everyone knows this bottle. It's what you'll usually zone in on mid-tier at the grocery store, and what your bartender will be mixing into your whiskey sour. Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 also goes by the name Black Label. This whiskey is mellowed through 10 feet of sugar maple charcoal over a 4 to 6 day span. The process is meant to remove any impurities and smooth out the flavor of the whiskey before it's put into aging barrels. The Flavier website comments that Jack Daniel's Old No. 7 smells like bananas and Cracker Jacks. And for those of you who don't know what Cracker Jacks are, just think of it as the perfect ballpark treat in the early to mid-1900s. It sits perfectly in this spot because reviewers think it's rather basic and boring, citing it as decent but lacking complexity and that it's best used as a mixer, and it's not going to put you back a lot of dough if you invest in a bottle. Gentleman Jack is one of the more well-known brands in the Jack Daniel's family. Similar to the more expensive and rather elusive Jack Daniel's No. 27 Gold, Gentleman Jack undergoes a double run through the 10-foot sugar maple charcoal tub to ensure the taste is as smooth as the bottle.
When you've used your talents to make better your present condition, whatever it is, I find inspiration in that.
It wins this spot because of ease of availability and a decent price, around $25. What knocks it down a few notches is that reviewers are split when it comes to the taste. It's reported that Gentleman Jack is incredibly smooth and balanced, with caramel and vanilla being the main scent contenders. The whiskey shelf points out that it is indeed smooth and balanced, but it also lacks character. It's basically really vanilla, and that's not the flavor they're talking about. This spirit's profile doesn't seem to sit in line with who the real Jack Daniel's was. One reviewer said this: "It's inoffensive and boring to sip neat. I honestly don't see any reason why anyone would buy this, apart from nostalgia." But one positive word that did seem to span across the review boards is that Gentleman Jack goes down easy. Well, at least there's agreement on something. If the sugary, syrupy Jack Daniel's sweet whiskeys are reserved for the bottom of the list, what's this Tennessee honey doing all the way up here? Well, it's modestly priced right around the $25 mark, goes great in cocktails and mixers, and is also tasty as is, both in shot form or on the rocks. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey is a blended whiskey, and if you haven't picked up on it yet, is just honey liqueur mixed with the globally beloved Jack Daniel's No. 7. What sets this sweet nectar apart from its crazy siblings is that it doesn't actually taste artificial, so that already adds to its street cred. Opinions differ. It's not overly sweet according to Spruce Eats, and really does just taste like whiskey with a shot of honey in it. On Reddit, many responders mentioned that it's really sweet, but not in a bad way. One reviewer said, "It's a really sweet alcoholic drink that should be taken only in shots. Kinda like a bag of marshmallows. You can eat some of it, but never a whole lot at a single time." This whiskey gets a few more steps up the booze chain because it's not only great for drinking, it's also a nice addition to food recipes. This is a legit, fiery, high-proof whiskey that isn't for the faint of heart, retailing for around $70. What makes Jack Daniel's Single Barrel barrel proof so intense is that according to the website, it's bottled straight from the barrel at its full proof. As potent as it is, the proof can be anywhere from 125 to 140. The flavor is still super smooth and dangerously easy to consume, and the typical Jack Daniel's oak and vanilla flavors are heightened to a new level. Whiskey Raters called it a banana bomb, which still sounds like it could be a good thing, but their 6 out of 10 rating says otherwise. This response isn't echoed with other reviewers. One distiller taster said that it wasn't too hot, which they were expecting from a whiskey with this high of a proof. One Reddit reviewer even compares the flavor to maple syrup and buttered pancakes. And, while it might not be for everybody, Rickhouse Rambling says, "If you have not tried this and are historically against Jack Daniel's products, I would recommend giving this one a shot." It's obvious Jack Daniel's is a whiskey you either love or hate. But no matter what, this whiskey definitely has a following. You could even liken this dedication to, musicians and their fans. Speaking of musicians, do you know who is also a devoted Jack drinker? Old Blue Eyes himself. That's right, Frank Sinatra. With a voice as smooth as the Tennessee whiskey he so dearly loved, Sinatra referred to Jack Daniel's as, quote, "nectar of the gods," and was actually buried with a bottle of it. According to Smithsonian Magazine, that's probably some of the best marketing a business can receive, right? In honor of their most dedicated fan and ambassador, Jack Daniel's created Sinatra Select. It's aged in special barrels, dubbed Sinatra barrels, which have unique grooves carved into their interiors. These indentations expose the whiskey to more of the oak layers and create a deep amber hue with notes of cola, vanilla, and caramel. Though some claim that the grooves introduce too much of a tannic flavor, a reviewer on Distiller said that it basically made them believe in Jack Daniel's again, rating Sinatra Select a 4.5 out of 5. If you're wondering why it didn't earn the Best Of title, it's because one bottle of Sinatra Select will put you back a minimum of $150. While Jack Daniel's Green Label whiskeys are matured toward the middle and on the bottom levels of the barrel houses, this one is pretty much the opposite. Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select is bottled at 94 proof. It's allowed to mature in the standard charred oak barrels, except these whiskeys are allowed to mature in the uppermost part of the barrel house, which is referred to as the Angel's Roost. The barrels are exposed to the sometimes extreme weather that the location gets, and you can taste that unique profile in this spirit. It's a whiskey with a unique nose. One Redditor says it smells of brown sugar and bubblegum, which sounds like Jones Soda should be coming up with that flavor any day now. There's also mention that it does have some lingering spiciness, but not in an unpleasant ethanol burn sort of way.
When it comes to whiskey, it can be really hard to know what to order.
Rickhouse Rambling suggests adding a bit of water to it as it brings out different nuances, like butterscotch, oatmeal, granola, and mango tea. Yeah, that sounds unique. Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select must be touched by angels while it's aging in the rafters, because the liquid that comes from those sky-high barrels ends up being an all-around easy drink, and is also pretty affordable, starting at around $43. This is the Jack Daniel's bottle you've been waiting for, the best of the core bottle family. Jack Daniel's 10 years Old Tennessee whiskey is the first whiskey to be released with an age statement in more than 100 years. It undergoes the exact same mellowing process that the main bottles do, getting poured through that sweet sugar maple charcoal impurity destroyer, and after that is where the magic begins. This 97 proof whiskey, which is the first of its kind for the distillery, is put in the same handcrafted charred white oak barrels, in the same barrel house as the others. But as the saying goes, it's really all about location, location, location. These whiskey barrels are first placed up high in the buzzard's roost. It's pretty much the angel's roost, but the name has a bit more of an edge to it. Each location these barrels live is exposed to different types of extreme weather, for 10 summers in a row. They're continually relocated to different levels of the barrel house during this time frame. The resulting whiskey is intense and deep. It still has its banana flambe touch, but also tastes like a smoky butterscotch, and has an essence of fig, tobacco, raisin, and a pleasant spice. And according to Jack Daniel's master distiller, this magical elixir can be yours for only $70. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite drinks are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.